Hey ducks, it's Simon here. Welcome back to the Hermit's Cave. I hope everybody's doing okay. Move a few bits out of the way. This is this is gonna get too smoky. I might have to move this. I bought this from Curious Goods last Saturday. You know, when I wasn't able to do a couple of catch-ups, I went into Chesterfield with some friends. I bought this and I love it, but I bought some dupe cones. You've heard me talk about the Banjara range. Love these. Well, they've just started doing some Banjara dupe cones, and they're really nice, but they are very, very smoky. The aroma that the Banjara incense gives off is just wonderful, but yeah, there's a lot of smoke, so as you can see. But anyway, beautiful, really beautiful. But if it gets too much, I will I'll move it out of the way, because I want you to be able to see the decks that I'm going to be showing. So this is my annual, and I think I've done this now since 2017. So this will be, what's that, the 7th? 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Yeah, the 7th top 10 decks of the year. I love doing this. I look forward to it. Sometimes I do it a little bit earlier. In the past, sometimes I've done it around the end of November, and people have been like, well, the year's not over with yet. And that's true. But I tend to know by that point what decks I've got coming in. But also, one of the factors around me doing my top 10 of the year is decks that I've worked with with the exception of perhaps one or two that come in and there's just that instant love affair with. One of the criteria for me doing this is that the top 10 deck of the year, because I've, formed a connection with them and I've used them, and they read beautifully for me, and just I get that all-round experience. So it's not just the 10 most prettiest or the 10 most unusual or anything like that. It's just the decks that have come into my collection and I've formed a bond with and love working with. And that brings me on to the second point, which is not all of these decks were released in 2023. That's not how I do my top 10 of the year. These are decks that have come into my collection during 2023, but they could have been released, last year, the year before, 10 years ago. It's decks that I've brought in. So what I do when I get to December, usually December, is I look back over the year, because every deck that I get, I share my thoughts on. So I look back at the videos I've uploaded over the last year, since the 1st of January, and I then select, and that's the hardest part, the 10 favourite decks. I said, I think it was on the weekend, yeah, I'm gonna have to move this just out the way a little bit. I said at the weekend that this was really hard, and I think I'd got it down to 12 and I was really struggling, and somebody commented, said, well, just do your top 12 decks. But that would feel wrong in some way for me, and it's daft really, isn't it? Because it's my channel, my video, I'm making up the rules, but I've got it down to 10. But it's never an easy thing to do. The way I do it as well is I have my number one, okay, my favourite deck, but the 10 to 2 aren't in any particular order. So it's not like in 10th place, in 9th place, because that makes it nigh on impossible for me. So it's my 10 favourite decks, but then I have a number one overall deck. Okay, so I'm just going to start off with whatever's the first one to grab. And the first one I want to talk about is the green Menagerie. Now, I really enjoy this. I didn't back it on Kickstarter because I'm kind of giving Kickstarter a bit of a wide berth. I haven't fallen out with it. They've not done anything wrong per se. I think I'm not a very patient person, which surprises me because everybody tells me about how laid back I am, how calm I am, and how patient I am. And I am in lots of areas of my life. But sometimes when you wait over a year for something that you've paid for, there's the flip side. It's a nice surprise when it comes through, but I don't know. I just kind of went through a thing with Kickstarter, and now I'm kind of over it. So I didn't back it. Although Matt Green's decks I had backed previously, like the Divine and Play and the Refine and Play. So I was alerted to it. And then Deanne at Blue Crescent Tarot was showing this deck, and I was like, oh, I kind of wish I'd bought it. So I went to buy it because I thought, well, you know, I didn't back it just because of the whole Kickstarter thing. And they wouldn't ship to the UK. So Deanne was very sweet and helped me out, and I was able to send her some money, and that's how I came to be in possession of it. So what I really love about this deck is, and I know Artisan Tarot, I think gets compared to that, and Artisan Tarot, I believe, is the biggest selling Kickstarter deck ever. Don't know if that's been replaced now. But the one thing that I favour this over Artisan is it is uniformed. You know, it's got the same backs, and I like that in a deck. That said, you know, I love, I forgot the name of the deck, it's gone out of my head, but the Pamela Coleman-Smith deck that has 3 or 4 different backs and it repeats, which, because I'm focusing on this, I can't think at the minute the name of the deck, but it will come to me if I don't focus on it. And I don't mind that, but with the Artisan, for me, I just felt like I'd got 78 complete individual cards and I just pushed them together. And I know that's the idea and part of the charm. But I love everything about this. I love the backs. I love the dark green edges in matte. I love the cardstock. Cardstock is exceptional. It's matte cardstock, and it's just gorgeous. This deck is so quirky. I love the fact that, yes, it is different art styles, as you can see. We've got Queen Elizabeth II here. This kind of reminds me of like a Max Headroom type sketch. And I just love that each card is, you know, is unique. But they're all curated by Matt Green. And I just think it works. I really think this deck works. There is because it's not just 78 cards taken from pre-existing decks. These were all curated by Matt himself. There is that kind of consistency to it. I just love it. I love this devil card. I mean, come on, look at this devil card. It's amazing. So yeah, I'll just show a few more. Some are very RWS, some really not. As you can see here, quite RWS-like. But I just think it's a fantastic deck. Love it, really love it. That's very reminiscent of his Divine and Play and Refine and Play decks. So yeah, it's a fantastic deck. So Green Menagerie by Matt Green. And I mean, the whole Menagerie, you know, that's what this deck is, isn't it? And the Green Menagerie, because it's his deck that he's curated. Okay, so that is in my top 10 of the year. And yeah, pleasant surprise. The other one I want to mention is the Somnia Tarot. Now, I know this came out a few years ago now. By the way, Green Menagerie was released this year in 2023. This came into my collection in July when I went to London. and I called in at Watkins Books, and it's the first time I've been to Watkins in 5 years. And I was hoping to be able to pick up both this and the illustrated version, because there is an illustrated version, but they hadn't even heard of that when I asked. There's like, no, there's a book. And I was like, no, it's okay. Because I didn't want to buy the book there, because the illustrated version comes with the book, although in smaller form. But, you know, I wanted to get the two of them. Now, this deck is hauntingly beautiful. There's something very, and it's purposely done that way to be quite atmospheric, haunting. And I'm not usually one who is a fan of photographic decks. I do have a few photographic decks, but they don't always appeal to me. This does. I just think it is magnificent. I get chills sometimes when reading with this deck. Look at this High Priestess. I love that we've got the almost like the steam coming from the water in white, and then we've got these smoky black representing the black and white tower. She's got the pomegranate. Nobody's face is revealed in this deck, and the idea behind that is so that we can kind of almost superimpose ourselves into the scenes. So if we're seeing somebody's face, then they felt that it would detract from that. This reminds me of A Ghost Story, which is one of my favourite films. If you've seen that film, you know exactly what I mean. But yeah, I mean, look at that for the Devil card. Death here. Oh, and this beautiful, even the horse has got, I mean, the face is, which I'm pleased about, it's a horse. But you know, it's just wonderful. The Emperor. So I really love this deck. It is dark, it's moody, it's atmospheric. Some people really don't like it. I mean, look at this Page of Wands. I love it. I think it's beautiful, really beautiful. I'd love to get the illustrated copy. The full card is, yeah, wow. And maybe next time I go to Watkins, they'll perhaps have it in, because I'm trying really hard not to buy independent from overseas just because of the cost. I think the Judgment card is really, really impactful. So many of these images are. So the Somnia Tarot is also in my top 10. Let's pop them in there. Again, a lovely chunky deck. Cardstock is phenomenal. Really, really good. And is that important? Yes. It's controversial. Not everybody agrees with me. But for me, tarot is very much a tactile thing. Otherwise, I'd use apps and things. I can't bear using apps for tarot. I don't mind if you can get a book through an app, that's different, but for drawing cards, it will never be apps and things for me. It's a very tactile experience. So good quality cardstock really does play a key factor. One of two Marseille decks that are in my top 10 for this year. Now this one came early in the year, and I'm very fortunate enough to be sent decks by Artisan Tarot. They are fantastic for recreating old historic Marseille style decks that probably in lots of cases have been lost in time or might have missing cards, and they carefully restore them. Often, you know, taking museum pieces and creating them again in their entirety, and they're really, really beautiful. The artist behind this deck is Alejandro Rozan, as you'll see here on the box, and he is a fantastic artist, so talented. Working on another deck with Artisan Tarot at the moment. I think it's due for release, which is a RWS Marseille style decks, which, as you know, I love them. I've got a few of them now. My current favourite is the Old Fellow Revived, which is a reworking of the, oh gosh, my head today. What is the name of the deck? Keishabo Tarot. Dear me. But from what I've seen from Artisan Tarot and Alejandro, this looks like it's just going to rock my world. So really looking forward to that. Cardstock quality for Artisan Tarot is beautiful. It's the casino grade, what I would call casino grade anyway. That soft linen. It is springy and flexible. That's the title card at the bottom. Okay, so wow, the first, I was going to say, I don't remember putting this in order, but we've got the Fool and the Magician. But yeah, I love this deck. I love the quirkiness to it. You do get kind of very random, strange things like here for our valet of wands or clubs, as it would be, this foot on the end. It's just out there, and it's kind of irreverent in the sense that it's following a traditional Marseille style deck, but it adds its own, you know, it's swap the heads here of the beast and the lady that's being forceful there. I love that we've got these kind of aged staining and things like that on the cards as well. There is a roughness to the art. You know, it doesn't perfectly sit within the lines, which we used to see in historical decks as well. It's just a brilliant deck to work with. Look at that death card. Yeah, I really love it. Again, not necessarily in keeping, but of the style of Marseille. Drips of blood here. Yeah, kind of in its irreverence, it kind of reminds, and I mean that in an affectionate way, it kind of reminds me of something like polka. Oh my gosh, what is that deck called? I was looking at that earlier today. Le Tarot di Marseille par polka. It is par polka. I doubt myself sometimes. So yeah, this is a fantastic addition to the world of tarot, and I'm pleased it's in existence. So Tarot des Ambiguities by Alejandro Rosan and Artisan Tarot, and long may that partnership continue, is what I say. A more recent one that I've only had this a couple of weeks, but I had to include it. And this is the second Marseille deck that is in my collection. Now, this will be in order because I haven't had the opportunity yet. But look how beautiful it is. This is a Christmas present to myself, and it is stunning. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about this deck because I've only just done a walkthrough, but it was an instant love affair, and I know it's going to be. I don't work with a lot of Marseille decks. I have like my 5 kind of favourites, but this now will be a part of that. Everything about it is beautiful. I love the colour coordination of the pips. I love the little gold flecks that just add a little bit of magic and sparkle, a bit of bling. We all love a bit of bling. I love this colour. This colour is just so beautiful. It's just a stunning deck. So I wanted to include that in there because, yeah, it was just instant love affair. Now, Earth Magic. Gosh, this deck is phenomenal. I didn't break the seal. It's by, I'm assuming, by the Expert Playing Card Company, because it's the same style box as we would find with Pagan Otherworlds. Let me just show Pagan Otherworlds. As you can see, very, very similar. And again, they have these seals on them. And it's, if it's not, then it's a copy that, a company that's very much copying Expert Playing Card Company. Also, they did the Playful Heart by Kitten Chops, and again, I didn't break the seal on that either. But Earth Magic is phenomenal. It's by Daniel Martin Diaz. I always wanted his Oracle deck. I forget what that's called now, but it was based on the Mexican Loteria deck. Never got to get it. Again, you know, to pay for that to come from overseas is quite a lot. But this deck is in a sepia, as you can see here. It's very detailed. The cards are a little bit larger than a standard tarot. It's the same size as Pagan Otherworlds, so if you do have that deck, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Again, it has that beautiful linen, soft, beautiful linen, which you get with Expert Playing Card Company. But I fell in love with this deck the moment I saw it. I was like, this is a deck that I have got to order from abroad. And it came from the States, because it was, you know how sometimes you'll watch a walkthrough and you're like, oh, I really, really want that. And then you kind of add it to a wish list. And then you go in search of other people's reviews of the deck. And then you start getting obsessed by it. That's what this deck did for me. I love the backs. Backs are beautiful. I like this kind of pattern. It's just, again, like Pagan Otherworlds, it has that nice design. But this, and you'll see there's different shades, and you'll notice lines through a lot of the artwork as well. And the reason, that's an additional card with his initials on it. I've been using that as a significator card as well. You'll notice the lines. That's because these are sketches, photographed sketches, where they've been put together, the paper's been put together to create a larger image. But yeah, this is just great. I didn't get the book. I thought about it, and then I spoke to a few people who got this deck and said, you know what, if you want to spend extra money and get the book, you can, but they didn't really feel that it was necessary to get the book. And I did hear some people saying there's not actually a lot in the book, so I kind of thought it'd be like Pagan Otherworlds, where I spent some money getting the book and I don't really use it. Do you see this line going through where the paper is put together? But I've just look at this, the King of Swords. I just think this artwork, it's incredible. It is pippish, as you can see. But as I've said before, if you know your numerology and you know your elements, then you've got a great starting off point. Love the 9 of coins here. Look at her branches in one of her hands, the other one's holding the bird. So it nods to RWS as well. Beautiful 9 of swords, very melancholy. Here's our Fool. Yeah, I just think it's phenomenal. Earth Magic, that's the one I've been using as the significator. This is, I don't even know why that's made its way in there. So this is the one I use as a significator card, so it stays in there. Incredible, incredible. I'm going to work with this more as well during 2024. Love it. All right, so Earth Magic. It's actually called Earth Magic Tarot Hermetic Prophecies. And as I said, it's by Daniel Martin Diaz. So let's pop that back in there. How are we doing? How many more we've got? Oh wow, I've only done 5. I'm only halfway through. Need to speed this up a bit. Okay, next one is Laro Artherion, and this is by Artisan, and she worked in partnership with Claire Duval. I just love Artherian's work. If you're not aware as well, shout out to Anna. She's just done the pre-order for Tarot of Echoes. I saw it at the weekend. I was like, oh, it's the week before Christmas. I can't afford to pre-order just yet. However, the good news is pre-orders are open until the end of January. So as soon as I get paid on the 25th of January, I've got a pre-order going in. Oracle of Echoes is one of my favourite Oracle decks of all time. And I've been eagerly anticipating Tarot of Echoes. Tarot of Echoes was paused so that Anna could work on Laro Artherion. I've got an app that can you can scan over and it will convert the text anyway into English. And very kindly, a friend sent me a PDF as well of this book in English, which I think is fantastic. It's a box within a box. If you're familiar with Anna's work, I'm just looking to see if I can grab with some ease. Probably can't because I've got so many decks now that I can't. I think I know exactly which cubicle they're in, and then I get to it and they're not where I think they are. But Tarot of the Abyss is probably one of the most and it's mass market version by US Games. You know, if you've got Tarot of the Abyss, you'll know her artwork, and it's even though that's a black and white sketch deck, you can still see the art style. Also, Bone Stone and Earth Flesh that she did in partnership with Avalon Cameron. I believe that's being picked up for mass market. I haven't heard any more since the initial kind of announcement. I don't know who's publishing it or anything like that. But this deck is gorgeous. I was talking to Chris from Elemental Cartomancy, and I was saying to him, you know, this is themed around obviously King Arthur, Knights of the Round Table, Avalon, Camelot, Guinevere, etc, etc, but it's very universal as well. You don't necessarily have to have in-depth knowledge of Arthurian legend to be able to work with this deck. I certainly, you know, don't have great knowledge of Arthurian legend, but as a tarot deck, it's everything. It's everything that you want. I don't mind French titles because, you know, I've got a myriad of Marseille decks and they're in French anyway, and they don't bother me. Obviously, if it's ever released as an English text version, I will probably get it. But you know, I know that this is the Ace of Batons. It's no stretch really. So yeah, 5 of Cups. So, and again, you can work out what they are very, very easily. Here's our Fool. I love that we've got an older Fool as well. I mean, just look at this image. So again, this is quite a new deck. I love how it's showing how the British Isles was originally sectioned up and they had their own kingdoms way back when. It's just, I love it. It's so gorgeous, this deck. Yeah, and I've not had it that long, but again, I've worked with it a lot over the last few weeks. Beautiful, beautiful. The Cavalier, the Knight here of batons. I don't think Anna can do any wrong. I just love her work. Really, really love it. Here's our Hermit, gorgeous Hermit card. Look at the Sun card. Everything about this deck, everything. Okay, so in my top 10 goes the Tarot Artherion. Okay, we're getting there. We've got 4 left. New Voice Tarot by Rosario Salerno. Been a fan of Ross's work ever since the New Choice Tarot de Marseille back in 2018. So 5 years ago, he brought out Tarot de Marseille. And ever since then, he's talked about creating this deck, which is the kind of sister deck. We've got the New Choice, and now we have New Voice. And this one is based on RWS, or following the RWS tradition, whereas the other one was a Marseille deck. Here it says, search deep with an open heart. The voice of the universe is near. Let it in for its let it in for its advice, heal, and feel hope and cheer. Beautiful box, really, really beautiful. The cards are large. We do get a little guidebook here. I will show you a standard tarot size and then how that compares. So these are larger cards. I wasn't expecting them to be large until they came, really, until they arrived. But actually, as I said before, I've got huge hands, so I'm fine with this. I would imagine people with smaller hands might struggle, but you really, because you get the borderless as well, you really get to see the detail in the artwork. And Ross, as an artist, puts a lot of detail. There's images of people with tattoos, and I love studying the designs of the tattoos and the symbols and things that he's put into them. And you can just see the tear ducts here, and you know, even each hair of the moustache. It's just beautiful. So we've got this beautiful holographic, I'm going to say holosexual, then I've heard that mentioned a few times. Backs are very similar to the design of the New Choice Tarot de Marseille. But yeah, I mean, the line work, the soft colour palette, there is nudity. It's very modern, you know. It doesn't shy away from what people might consider, you know, more taboo subjects, and I like that. You know, I want to see that more. I love the fact that we've got here for our lovers cards there, you know, we've got somebody who's presenting as female, as male, and somebody who has had top surgery. I'm not going to assume non-binary, but you know, there's different body types and different genders represented. I love how clever this is. We've got the 9 of Swords, and the bedcloth design that we see in the RWS is actually this jumper, this pullover here. But yeah, it's just a fantastic deck. Look at our High Priestess, the old and the new. She's sitting here with a laptop on her lap, but it's very traditional with the columns and the cloth hanging, and it's just beautiful. Here's our Ace of Swords, Ace of Wands. Yeah, it's just a fantastic deck. Look at the Hermit here. I love it. It's colourful and vibrant and modern and inclusive. It's confronting. Oh, beautiful. We've been, and this was a deck that came out this year as well as coming into my collection this year. I think we've been really spoilt this year with a phenomenal decks. I really do. It's been one of those years. It was a good year for tarot, especially when you see creations like this. So New Voice Tarot by Rosario Salerno. Let's pop that back in the box. And this was one that I backed on Indiegogo. I always say Indiegogo, is that right? Indiegogo, I think it is. I've only ever used it once, and it was for this deck. What I want to show next is Serpent and the Peacock Tarot art version. Fell in love with this deck the moment I got it. It's by Libra Moon, and I love everything about the design. Now, I did have, from probably 3 years ago, maybe 4 now, it was at Christmas I bought it, the first edition, which came in a tin. Yeah, I think that was 2019 going into 2020, I believe. It could have been 2020 going into 21, but a few years ago now. And then she came out with this publisher sign numbered edition, only 750 sets, and it was the art version, and I love it. And I believe, well, I say I believe, I know actually, because I remember seeing it in the Hermit's Cave, there is a 3rd edition now, which has text on the bottom. So it's like a beginner's version, because it will say what the card is. So for example, if it was the Fool, it would say 0 the Fool, and then you get some, like a scroll, because this is based on medieval artwork, with some keywords and phrases in there, which is very helpful. What I love about this feels like a really heavy deck. The cards aren't, I mean, they're nice, they're beautiful, matte. I did hear some people saying it's quite thin, but it's very heavy, so it could be the gold gilding on it. These are the backs. I love the size and shape of these, kind of like a bit wider than an oracle deck, but the vibrancy of the colours in this deck are wonderful. I love that we've got a kind of RWS Pixies calligraphy type font going on here. But yeah, it's just wonderful. I've used this a lot, and at one time I put everything back into their boxes for the purpose of this video, because some were in bags, and this was in a little bag, because it was one that I took around with me for a while, and it was out on my desk for the longest time, but love it. Look at the images, all medieval artwork that is used. I love it. Wonderful. So the Serpent and the Peacock Tarot art version. I love the first version as well, but this just kind of raised the bar a little bit in terms of upping the quality, and this lovely presentation box as well, with the soft felt to keep them safe. The book was a welcome addition also. All right, we are up to our final 2. Now, I have to mention this. This I only got in October, and this is Tarot of the Holy Spectrum. And it was sent by my lovely Dee Dee L as a birthday gift. And I thought there was an extra black card at the back. But anyway, I just love it. I love everything about this deck. I'll just show a few of the cards. I took this to Glastonbury with me as well, and we did some card pulls, Sandra and I, during our time together in Glastonbury, and she really loved it also. That was one of the cards that came up, actually. It came up on the Wednesday. I remember that because that was the day we went in search of Cod and Magog. And that felt very much right for the day. It uses these primary colours, very simple sketching, but boy does this give you good readings. Just plain black backgrounds, which I really love as well. But yeah, I just love the art style of this. I love its simplicity. It's just wonderful. It wasn't released this year. It came to me this year. I think it was released back in 2020. And the first time I was aware of it was in 2020 when we did a Glastonbury meetup, and Elle brought this deck with them, and we had a look at it, and I was like, I've got to get this deck. And at the time, Chris managed to get one from Elemental Cartomancy, but by the time I got late to the party as usual, they wouldn't ship to the UK. So I thought, well, I'm not meant to have it then. But luckily, I've received it as a gift. I know there's another version that's glossy. I'm not sure how I feel. I like the look of the other version. It has like mirrored backs and sides, but I'm not sure how I feel about it being glossy, because this just works, having this matte black back and sides, and then the cards as well. All right, so what is my number one? I think it probably come as no surprise to a lot of people, actually, when I show my number one. They'll be like, yeah, of course. But it is the Retina Waite Smith Tarot. Why is this my number one? Plain and simple. It's, everybody knows I love RWS. It's the deck that I have used the most this year. I know people are disappointed because by the time they discovered this deck, it was out of print. There is a second edition being released. Mate Horror Number told me it'll be towards the end of the year. We're at the end of the year. I've not seen anything yet, but it is coming. I don't know what it's going to look like or what the difference are going to be, because with their second editions, there's usually some changes. I don't know how they can perfect this. Seeing why those are. These are some additional cards. We've got Pamela Corman Smith, Arthur Edward Waite. Something stuck to my finger. And then the front and back cards. So they're additional cards. So, I mean, just look how beautiful. Aesthetically gorgeous. Looks lovely under candlelight. I don't know if you actually see that, but really gorgeous under candlelight. Beautiful edging. Cardstock is phenomenal. It is matte. They make that, you know, that sound. It's Pixie's artwork, redrawn and recolored by Singh Poonfat, but it is as close as they can get to it. But there are some little extras. So we don't have Pixie's font. We do have some elemental symbols here, but the line work is so crisp and clean. The colours are beautiful. It's by far my favourite RWS copy, because I think it's done so well. And I'm saying that, you know, thinking of things like, what was it called? I don't know why I do this, because I can never remember. The WS, there was the WS Smith one. There's a few on places like NPC and stuff like that, but this is my favourite version. They have added shadows as well, so it's quite impressive here, look, which gives it a little bit more of a realistic feel. but the colours are just, I hope they're coming out, vibrant and beautiful. What is that that's stuck to my thumb? It's like a bit of potpourri, I think, from earlier. Yeah, I mean, look how luscious that is. So if you do love RWS, then I think, you know, this is one that people will enjoy. I certainly do. And like I say, I've done lots of readings with this year. I just love it. And that's why it's my number one. I think for me, it's got everything, plus the fact that I've used it the most. So yeah, beautiful design, beautiful artwork, colours are stunning, cardstock is amazing, everything about the product is wonderful, and you know, the deck that I think I've reached for and used the most out of all of the decks this year. All right, let me know what you think to my choices. I would imagine, because this happens most years, people say, oh, I thought you might have put in X or Y, and as I said, it's a difficult choice every year to do this, and I always feel really sorry and guilty about the ones that don't make it in, but the rules that I set for myself really is 10, and using that criteria of they came to me this year and I've probably used them the most, or you know, they've come to me quite late on in the year and I've just fallen in love with them. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you all, this will probably be my last time on before Christmas, because I've still got a couple of events on Friday and Saturday, and then I'm going away Christmas Eve and not coming back until the 27th. And I think Chris and I are planning on doing a late sort of Boxing Day bash, but a festive video as well, talking about our Christmases and any decks that we may have gotten over the Christmas period. So look out for that as well. All right. Thanks everybody for watching. Let me know your top 10s as well in the comments below, or do a video. I love those kind of videos, especially at this time of year. Until next time, go in peace. Namaste and blessed be.